This is an SM Media production. Hi everyone and welcome to episode 15 of SM Media's Road to Cheltenham. I'm Scott McPike, delighted to be your host as always, joined as always by Calum McClurkin. Calum, when we talk about racing, we won't talk about weeks that will be as good as that, will we?
Oh, brilliant stuff in Dublin. Some unbelievable performances that I'm sure we'll all get through.
Is it the best week of the year outside of Cheltenham, do you think?
It's certainly probably one of the best weekends. I think it's Cheltenham watch out in the future. I think Ireland have got all the horses and Cheltenham's mainly got all the prestige, but for a weekend that was just packed full of quality. It was all Grade 1. It wasn't saturated in any way. It was fantastic to watch.
Yeah, definitely. Let's get straight into some questions. First question we've got is, do you think the British handicapper will unfairly treat Irish horses, and how many races do you see Ireland winning? A very interesting subject. I know it's been talked a lot about after how well the Irish horses performed over the weekend. What's your kind of thoughts on that?
I think there's a likelihood that they probably will. One high-profile example would be the Boss's Oscar. Now, he's rated 143 in Ireland. Over here, he's got a mark of 151. Mm-hmm. That's not £3 or £4 here. That's a whole £8 difference. So I think the obvious plot from the usual yards with the usual connections, maybe the big ownerships like Gigginstown, GP McManus, the Morans, they'll probably be hit with sizable rises. Others that are maybe a bit more exposed, probably not. They'll probably get their usual £2, £3, £4 here. But I think some horses that look clearly laid out, maybe wide receiver as well, could be one that might get a kind of higher mark than you'd expect normally.
Yeah. Right, let's get down to the chase. The Presbyterian Cup, Ireland versus the UK. Is it a formality that Ireland are going to hammer it?
Yeah, it looks likely, doesn't it? Given what Willie Mullins himself could hammer it, to be honest. I think there's 28 races. I think Ireland have favourites in 21 of them. Mm-hmm. So like the cross country would probably go to France and Easisland if he turns up and finds Fettel. A lot of the graded races, particularly Thursday, Friday, I think could really be very Irish dominated.
Yeah, I think that.
The record for Ireland is 19 winners. I went through them and I thought they'd probably 20 was the figure that I got. Between 18 and 21, I think is very likely.
Yeah, definitely.
I think 20.
Definitely. If they'll get 20, it's obviously a record. You look through the field, as you say. There's 3 mares races as well, which will surely be. You would like to think all 3 will probably be Irish, won't they?
Probably. If Danby Company turns up in the right race, maybe not.
Brilliant. But we'll move on to some other questions. We got a question from Shane. We got 2 questions actually from Shane on YouTube. We're just going to ask them. Do you think Bouverdere can finish the first 3 in the champion hurdle? It's very, very tough to see after his. I wouldn't say it was terrible the first time out, but he'll need to improve at least. I would say maybe a stone to be now the champion hurdle field. It looks like it's a 2-horse race, and do you see him maybe getting into the top 3 in that race?
No, I don't. To be honest, at the moment, I really don't. I think, given what Honeysuckle did, you've got 2 mares that are getting £7 from the rest of the field, probably a bit above the rest, as the market would suggest. Don't think Bouverdere can get to them. I think he needs to find £11 improvement to really place, and I think Abacadabra's probably good past him. Maybe Silver Streak or Song for Someone as well will be hard for him to peg back. Aspire Tower as well. Yeah, he's about 6th or 7th in my list, I think, at the moment.
I'm really Aspire Tower could potentially be a good bit of each way value. Next question. This is a very, very good question after the weekend. Can you make a 4-fold selection for Willie Mullins and Gordon Elliott at the festival? 4 winners from each trainer you think will win. Right. You want to do Mullins or Elliott, or will we do 2 from each?
You can do both if you want.
Right, we'll go with Willie Mullins first. My first one would obviously be Chacun Persois.
Yeah, Monkfish.
appreciate it.
Concertista.
Yeah, and we haven't mentioned Kilcroot and Benny the Jew, and there's Energamine. We haven't mentioned them, so it's
Alloway album photo.
Alloway album photo, exactly. There's Allaho. I know it's a rather strange set of circumstances. Gordon Elliott's a bit tougher. Envoy Allen's the first one we got. Are we saying he's going to win?
Yeah, I would think so.
You want to go next?
Zanahiyr.
Zanahiyr Calaxios has got a very good hand in there. I'm going for Galvin National Hunt Chase.
Go for one value. Tory Graph and the Martin Pipe.
Very good. You can even have wide receiver in there as well.
Yeah, I think it's both in the same race. But I mean, I think if you're looking for a fourfold of Gordon Elliott, so have an each way one at Handicappers, because that's what he seems to be the best at.
Yeah, definitely.
Take your pick from Willie Mullins' battalion, I would think.
Yeah, there's a rather focused moment. We'll get through Willie Mullins and Gordon Elliott's winners over the week and the recap. We'll move on to the recap, and it's a rather busy recap this week, but we'll start off on Wednesday at Warwick, where we saw Annie Mack win a Mare's Chase, beating Zambella by 5.5 lengths. Now into 10-1 for the Mare's Chase. She could have an each-way chance, couldn't she?
She does, yeah. She's kind of the solid, seasoned campaigner in this race now. If you're looking for one to kind of emerge, I mean, Magic of Light, Happy Diva as well. Those and Annie Mack, they were the three that you were kind of looking for if there wasn't a kind of classy novice or an unexposed thing in there at the top of the market. So
yeah.
Now she's 5 for 5 against her own sex. She won quite well. 2 performances she's been at Cheltenham have been below form, to say the least, in the Ultima, and there was a handicap earlier on that she didn't run particularly well in, but she seems happy against her own sex. She's thriving at the moment. I think she needs soft ground, but she is an each-way player, but 10-1's a bit short against some nice unexposed types, I think, that are in front of the market. Yeah,
I would go with that. We'll move on to Saturday. We'll start off with Sporting John won the Silly Isles Novices Chase at Sandown. 10-1 for the Mars, beat Shan Blue. What were your thoughts? Did you think Sporting John would come back to form? And I'm keen to get your thoughts on Damn the Company in this race as well.
No, I didn't think Sporting John would come to form whatsoever. I think he's more of a 3 mile. I think he'd probably go old RSA. It took him a mile to find his feet, and that suggests that they went plenty fast enough on the pace. Shan Blue ran his race again. It was credible. Just get tired on the ground a little bit towards the end.
I think that as well. Yeah,
ran the finish out of a lot of them, apart from Sporting John, who was miles back. His jump's just not good enough to worry anything at the front of the novice chase market at the moment, and that's the thing. I don't think I could have him. The only gripe from Brilliant Racing was all these stupid drone shots.
Yeah, I was going to get your thoughts on that. Yeah,
we couldn't see the most important jumping test of the railway fences. Just have a camera in a straight line looking at them. Damn the Company disappeared when Hitman fell. Hitman was going really well. I thought he'd probably win. He might be the one to take out of it.
Yeah,
he looked seriously impressive. Till he was out jumped by Shan Blue, though he was kind of reaching for it. Damn the Company's going okay. She was kind of feeling the pinch halfway around the fence before, but she was jumping as well as anything. The in-play betting was quite good in her favour, and she was roughly where Sporting John was at the time. She was brought down. So I thought initially it was a bizarre bit of placing from Nicky Henderson anyway. I mean, you have a mare that you've minded with kid gloves for 2 years over hurdles, practically ran her exclusively at Cheltenham.
Yeah.
Gradually brought her on, and to throw her into that kind of race.
Exactly.
On deep ground and conditions that he went out on record and said that she wouldn't really have liked, to me was a bit odd.
Yeah.
If she can overcome it, then I think you'll see even far better effect at Cheltenham. Also, going right-handed, her jump was under pressure on the railway fences. She was starting to jump quite markedly left. Again, just a bit of just bizarre. thought it was just the wrong race for her, too much at the time. And I think she will. She has a chance at Cheltenham still if she can get him back to that form. But given the way she's been minded before, really carefully, I thought it was an odd choice of race for her.
Yeah, definitely. We'll move on to the rescheduled Cotswold Chase where Native River. It was a good day for Richard Johnson. 14-1 now for the Gold Cup. Kept on really well. Again, in that heavy ground, it just suits Native River to a T. If the Gold Cup was to become really, really soft, would you possibly side with Native River?
Possibly, yeah. If it's really heavy, just gets it done. I mentioned if it was a Cotswold Chase at Cheltenham, I would have backed him. But the fact it was at Sandown, right-handed, he was jumping wheaties left at Kempton. I thought, this might happen again. He'll concede too much ground to someone like Bristol Demai, but didn't materialise. Colin Tizard's form of the yard seems to have turned a corner a little bit.
Yeah, it has, yeah.
Native River always upheld his form, though, even in their low spells. So he's still going strong. He's still running to his mark. And if he gets his conditions, certainly an each-way chance in what looks to be a bit of a weakish Gold Cup.
I would say with Native River as well, like, we're both going to agree that it's going to be between him and Frodon for the lead.
Yeah, definitely. Well, he did take a lead from Yalanki, didn't he?
Yeah.
He's a bit more versatile up front. Yeah, him and Frodon, I think, would certainly be the pace angle. It should ensure a truly run race, unlike 12 months ago.
Yeah, I think Native River in a Gold Cup completely changes the landscape. But we'll move on to the horse I want to have a wee bit of a rant about, Santini. See if the Gold Cup was 10 miles, Santini's probably the favourite. Santini cannot win a Gold Cup, can he? He can. Because he finished second last year, I think people took away how it was, but it was a total pace collapse last year. It played into Santini's hands. And I know he's got a good record at Cheltenham and that, but I cannot have Santini for a Gold Cup. Anybody that backs him, in my mind, should just expect a defeat, because I just can't take him seriously for a Gold Cup.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are just they just can't imagine Albin Fote as a 3-time winner of this.
Yeah,
and everyone's scrambling around looking for alternatives. And given Santini was half a length, I thought he was inconvenienced in the Gold Cup. I thought he would have wanted a harder pace to go at. I mean, I think there's a theory that he's one of a few that are probably going to be peaking for a Gold Cup.
Yeah,
more than most. I mean, everyone does. If you've got a Gold Cup chance, you're going to try and beat the horse for the Gold Cup, aren't you? You're not going to prepare it for anything else. He's just such a lazy horse.
Yes,
he makes fiddly mistakes. I would be just put headgear on and try and wake him up. Try and inject some kind of zest into him a little bit. Yeah, he's got a lofty rating though that's entitled to make him maybe a place chance on last year's form, but this season doesn't fill you with confidence, does it? I mean, there's not really much positives to take from his run. I suppose he's completed them all. I suppose he's finished them all. He has hit the line reasonably well, but Aintree, Kempton, and Sandown, I don't think there was much positives. He's well beaten every single occasion.
I just think at some point in the race he's going to get done for a bit of pace. Like the likes of if Royal Pagaille, Applutard, even Frodon, like they're going to do him for a bit of pace at some point in the race. I think because the three horses who ran. Yeah, Applutard's a 2.5 miler who's going up and trip. Frodon's the same. Royal Pagaille probably is a stayer, but they'll have the gears, I think, to completely outpace Santini at some point in the race. He might run into maybe third or fourth, but I don't see him finishing further than that in a race like this year's where there's going to be a lot more pace in it.
No, and we've got Champ coming up next week.
Exactly, yeah.
The fact that Nico de Boinville wasn't on Santini suggests that
he chooses Champ.
The yard have got more faith in Champ. You know, a horse that we haven't even seen yet this season as well. So yeah, I'm running. You're kind of clinging on to the track, clinging on to last year's form.
Yeah.
If you want to side with him.
Yeah, I would agree with that. We'll move on to Leopardstown, who have a lot of horses to mention. We'll start off with the first novice hurdle of the day. Gaillard du Mesnil, justified favouritism. Very big gambling, Gaillard du Mesnil. Now into 7-2 favourite for the Ballymore. I thought it was very, very impressive. What was your thoughts on Gaillard du Mesnil? We'll touch on a few horses who finished behind him later on, but what was your thoughts on the winner?
Yeah, he set the tone, didn't he, for the weekend? Really classy performance, quick and round the bend. It's quite impressive. Was it kind of hard taxing race though? It's not long turnaround to the Ballymore, and it looks quite it's probably by far the deepest novice hurdle at Cheltenham.
It looks a really good race. Chinese the right favourite?
Yeah, on what he did there, yes, I would think so. Though I'd put Bob Ollinger quite close in behind.
Yeah.
No, he was very good. Very impressive the way he just strode away from them.
Yeah, we'll touch on second, third and fourth. Gentleman's Game, Statler and Fakira. Probably three horses who are going to go for the battle. Is there any kind of takeaways for the battle right now from any of those three or anything behind?
Mouse Morris suggested that Gentleman's Game might stay at home. Sees him as more of a future chaser, so I'd be a bit wary about him for the Bartlett. I thought Statler ran an honourable race.
Yeah.
I think he's probably just about the right favourite. Mainly because he was there to be shot at, wasn't he?
Yeah.
From the winner, he was one that was ridden to win. Right? The others were kind of stayed on, picked up the pieces a little bit. Still held on for third, which was a good performance. Fakira, I think, will always be outpaced by something, whether it's at the Albert Bartlett or not. He's I just think he's just a bit of a plodder, even for a Bartlett. He has a right profile, but I think something like the National Hunt Chase for him next season,
possibly,
would be really interesting. I think he's a better chaser as well. And I thought Ganapathy was travelling better than anything else until he obviously didn't stay. And I've got no idea why they ran him in that race than the 2 miler.
I know. We'll move on to your pick for the battle at Holy Macapony. Are you completely done with him?
No, I never completely dismiss any horse. But, I think.
What do you think happened?
I just don't think he was fit. He didn't jump too cleverly as well.
Nah.
He was on the front of a hard pace. He might come on for it. Well, he might, but he weakened fairly dramatically again. Maybe there's still an issue there. I mean, it's just hard to take from the Ante Post perspective of you could only pick two of them, and his debut was an 8-length victory of Gaillard du Mesnil. So
exactly.
Nilindo was 50-1 when he won the race. He'll get connections like that. If he's out to 50-1, suddenly he's out okay again. We'll be back topping him up. It's that kind of thing. Yeah, he's regressed while Gaillard du Mesnil has progressed unbelievably, and that's how it works out sometimes. Yeah,
definitely. We'll move on to the Dublin Chase. Chacun Pour Soi, again, outstanding. Just the superstar of the 2 mile division. Now odds on for the Champion Chase, 10-11. Can you see anything beating him?
No, I don't. Maybe a Peak Altior can challenge him up the hill, but this was another step forward for him.
Yeah.
I thought he hit the line harder than he normally does, because he had a lead to the last this time, rather than taking it up round the bend. If there's something that will take him to the Champion Chase to the last, the hill will be of no issue, because it is.
No.
People forget at Leopardstown it is an uphill finish. It's a bit like Sandowns. It's not quite dramatic as a Cheltenham Hill, but it's still a bit of a stiff finish. Min was disappointing because he get taken on for the leads, and that unsettled his jumping rhythm.
He's jumping. See the last fence he jumped. He was just. I don't even think he got up off the ground. He just went right through it, and I just thought at that stage, Notebook. I think Notebook out jumped him from the front, as you say, but. I would have a worry about Min now getting into the festival. I mean, he's went out a couple of points, but I wouldn't. Again, unless they find something wrong, you would have a worry at what happened there, because it was very, very unlike him. Yeah,
he banked the fence, didn't he? He made a big mistake before that, and then he just kind of jumped on top of the fence rather than clearing it. And Patrick Mullen sensibly pulled him up. He wasn't,
oh, definitely, yeah.
The rider wasn't panicking on him. I mean, he was just kind of casually pulled up. I think I'd be reasonably confident it'd be okay for sure.
I hope so.
But it it's just far from ideal, isn't it? For
Yeah.
a prep race for the Ryanair. Although there'll be no 2-miler in there that will probably take him on for the leads for tactical speed. I just think it made a massive difference to him. It unsettled him, Notebook being there. They ran Notebook to beat Min rather than beat Shaq and Persois because they think he's probably unbeatable.
Yeah.
And it looked the case. Fakir Duderay ran a really
I thought I'd run a really good race. He's a contender on the Ryanair.
Yeah, he's a chance, particularly if the pace kind of, if you've got Allaho, Min, and Mellon up there, if the three of them go up top,
yeah,
Fakir Duderay could come and maybe take the pieces, and he's got a good track record at Cheltenham as well.
And he's a better horse over 2.5, I think.
Yeah, he needs further, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think that as well. But Shaq and Persois was outstanding. We'll move on to the Irish Arkle, where we saw another 2-mile superstar of the future, Energamine, 9-4 second favourite for the Arkle, just so good. Just jumped a tiny bit right to start with, but once he got going, he was unbeatable. How good was this performance?
Very good, yeah. As you'd expect, really bloodless. You can see why he's got the same style as Undersow, don't you? I mean, he is like that. He's just maybe a bit more tractable than Undersow, but he can stay a bit further. He meets everything perfectly. It's a really bold, aggressive jumper, and yeah, Shishkin certainly does have a race in his hands.
If they were the same price, who would you back?
Shishkin.
Yeah, I think that
just because of the tactical nature of the race, I think it'll set up more for Shishkin than it will for Energamine, because All Mankind will pester him. I know Energamine looks fairly tractable, and he probably can take a lead, and he does have excess stamina. But also, spring ground in the festival would be another question mark about Energamine. He does jump slightly right. You're turning all the time in the old track at Cheltenham. That could probably bring out maybe some jumping frailties. I think Shishkin can go in behind and stalk the front two and pull clear, a bit like Footpad did
I think
in his year, if they go silly. But no, Energamine seriously is a really strong, solid horse, and those are unknowns rather than negatives about
exactly.
him.
Yeah,
that's the thing. We could easily overcome that and dismiss it, and if he does, then he does have a big chance.
Yeah, we're in for a cracker of a race in the Tuesday, but we'll touch on a horse as well that I tipped up for the Arkle Unaccepted. He was jumping beautifully as well. It's like a wee bit. There was a point in the race where I thought he is jumping the best out of everyone, but I think he just switched off. What do you think happened there?
Yeah, it was a massive drift on him, wasn't it? Before the race, and it's 5 to. It went off like something like 10, 12 to 1, and that's not a good sign.
No.
But Mullins had quite a few, but again, I was surprised at Energamine. It's odds on favourite Irish Arkle. Why is nobody trying to challenge him for the lead?
I know. Felix Desjardins was ran weird as well. Yeah, I thought Felix Desjardins would go for the lead as well, but it just completely different.
Unaccepted's debut was from the front. And again, maybe Willie Mullins has said, we've got the two best horses in this race. There's no point in us setting it up for a closer or something. But even in Franco Deport, he had the best closer in the race as well.
I know. Captain Guinness, I thought, ran okay before he fell. I thought he was going pretty okay.
Yeah, he was challenging. I think the winner would probably have held him anyway. I had Black Boat 40 to 1, who finished third.
He could be a really good value for a handicap.
Yeah, he's got a very high mark. I think it's something in the mid 150s. And his jump's not the most reliable. I think he made a mistake towards the end, and that probably cost him any chance of second. But yeah, he is interesting when it all comes together for him. But I think Willie Mullins had a 1, 2, 3 there.
Yeah.
Sets the tone again.
Sets the tone. The next two horses, I don't mean to beat my own drum, but I'm going to pat myself in the back for each of them. We'll start off with the one and only Honeysuckle. She is now 5-2, joint favourite for the champion Huddle. Just what a performance! She's just unbelievable, isn't she?
Yeah, and definitely worthy of joint favouritism now. This was a step up. This was a step up into the big league for sure. The way she took it up, she cruised into it. jumping was far slicker.
I thought she jumped excellent.
The deep ground has assisted her. So it's a £7 penalty that the others have. She receives. I do question a lot in behind, and I know they all want to be held up, and I know they all want to challenge as late as possible. But when the favourite is 5 or 6 lengths clear and travelling well, you have to go and chase it at some point. And Abacadabra was the only one that tried. He ran quite an honourable race in second. Pleased to get that forecast up. And I think he'll be a lot closer with Cheltenham. Because he's been trained with Cheltenham in mind.
Yeah, I would agree with that. See, when you've got the likes of Honeysuckle, and last year, I don't know if you've noticed the last hurdle, she jumped the last hurdle the exact same way she did last year, but was so far in front that it didn't really matter. But with a horse that's got pace like that, is it a no-brainer to go champion hurdle?
Yeah, no, definitely. Particularly you've already won a mare's hurdle, and Concertiste is an interesting rival. I think if it's soft ground, I think she'll probably win. And I think Aspire Tower will help, because I think that if he's there and if Song for Someone's there, it should ensure the strong pace that she'd want. And she's versatile. She can take a lead for an element of a race and then quicken to something that you kind of doubted at champion hurdle pace. But it's a sharper track than a lot of people think, the Old Course, and spring ground. If it's good ground, maybe something could do for speed. Probably Epitome in that instance.
It's going to be, again, we're looking at 2 very, very interesting battles in day 1, and Honeysuckle again just showed how good she is. Another horse who I really, really enjoyed, one of the performances probably of the year, Kilcroot, now 6-4 favourite for the champion bumper. Have you ever been impressed with a bumper horse in your life as you were on Saturday with this horse?
I think Envoy Allen was impressive in the champion bumper himself. It was excellent. Again, did the pace collapse? Did it flatten him a little bit? Possibly, but he's done it on the bridle. Patrick Mills is absolutely motionless. It's very, very taken. You just wonder, was it too good to be true? Like Patrick Mullins in his Racing Post column kind of indicated that they went a ferocious gallop. He did cash in on it. Ramillies was the one that Willie Mullins thought that was better.
Yeah, I thought he was going better before the bend. I genuinely thought Ramillies was going better than Kilcroot.
I did mention last week when we were previewing it that on Ramillies' debut, when he was actually challenged, he found nothing off the bridle at all.
Yeah,
found nothing for pressure. He did so again, I thought. But the way he's beaten Let's Be Clear about it in comparison to Sir Gerhard does suggest that there is substance to the form, and Chemical Energy didn't run his race, but yeah, no, it's definitely.
It was unbelievable.
The right champion bumper favourite after that was some performance.
We're going to ask you this again. If you get Kilcroot and Sir Gerhard at the same price, who do you back?
On that evidence, it has to be Kilcroot.
Yeah.
But me being value seeking, I'd back neither of them. But we'll come on to that later.
Yeah, and we're going to do a bumper preview later on, but we'll move on to Sunday. Calixios won a very, very good race, 6-1, second favourite for the Triumph. I tipped him up last week at 11s. I'm quite happy. I thought it was a really good performance. Again, was it as good as Zani? Is it as good as what Zani here's shown so far?
In terms of form, it's probably the best piece of form around. Calixios, winning that. But the race in behind again, you have to look at Yumdor jumped terribly.
Horrible, yeah.
As if his fall was kind of still in the back of his mind a little bit. Hador pulled as if he was in the King's Stand, as if it was a 5 furlong sprint race. I mean, it was unbelievable. So there's a 2 main, and St. Sam is taken up from the front. Calixios has picked him up quite easily.
Yeah.
The problem is that everything in behind Calixios is not Triumph standard, and are probably going to go to the Boodles.
I quite like the third. Is it Busselden? Is that how you pronounce it? I quite like him. I could see him being an each way chance for the Boodles.
He could do something. Because I think Zaniger's got maybe more of a wow factor to him than
I think that was it. I think
Quilixios does.
Yeah, I think that as well. I think it was a good performance. I think he just done what he had to do. I mean, obviously he's been off. Was it 4 months? I think since he ran last, so that'll play a part as well. But 6-1, I think, is a fair price. I don't think he's shown what Zana here has yet, but it's as you say. I think it's probably the best bit of form in the Triumph so far. We'll move on to the 2 mile novice hurdle, where we so appreciated going to 7-4 for the Supreme. Very, very good performance again. I thought it was a poor race behind apart from Ballyadam. I thought Ballyadam ran a good race second, but I think Appreciate It's good. What do you think?
I think he is. To me, he just still looks a steer.
Yeah,
I think that's it. That's what crabs a lot of people on him. The Supreme is a weak race in behind him, and he still looks a steer to me. I mean, I was expecting him to kind of from 2 out. He went steady enough when he was in the right position all the time, but I was expecting him to kind of show some sort of turn of pace, and he didn't. He's kind of a gradual grinder, gets the revs up, high cruising speed, and nobody else in behind seems to be able to handle that. And that's not his fault.
No,
he just doesn't have that kind of 2 mile wow factor about him that you'd expect to emerge in a Supreme Novices hurdle, like Shishkin Abacadabra did last year. He doesn't seem to have that turn of foot, but he's doing what he's doing. He's clear of everything else, and he's an incredibly hard horse to knock. In terms of being the right favourite.
He's definitely the right favourite. We'll get an interesting view in the Supreme this Saturday in the Betfair hurdle. It's always a good pointer for the Supreme. But we'll move on to, in my mind, one of the performances of the week was Monkfish. 4-5 now for the now called the Brown Advisory Novice's Chase. Absolutely magnificent. We were saying last year this horse was slow. What a performance he put in Sunday.
This was the best novice chasing performance you'll ever see. This was
That's a big statement.
This is better than Shishkin. This was better than Envoy Allen. This was absolutely magnificent. He's beaten his old rival, latest exhibition, who's second in the market at the RSA again, and by even more conviction, even though he's run to his mark.
Yeah.
Stephen Furlongs is a Grade 1 horse. He's put him in behind, put him to the sod easily. He met every fence perfectly.
Lovely. Jumped absolutely brilliant.
And there was still a bit more left in the tank. He'll win the Gold Cup next year.
Are you going he could massive call that?
He could actually win it this year if he wanted to. This was outstanding. I know they gave him a bit of a start again, like they always did in the weekend. I thought, but this was an incredible performance. I thought it was clearly the best performance.
Yeah, that was outstanding.
Of the whole weekend.
It was outstanding. I was saying last week, remember me saying last week in the show, 2-mile-5, did he have the gears for that? How much an idiot did I feel?
Yeah, I thought he just, don't think it was like a lot of juice in the price, or he's not done anything that's really like screamed that's unbelievable, like the other two have. But that was, and it was in a race of substance, and a trip that might be on the short side for him. It was a unbelievable ride. And Paul Townend later on described him as the perfect horse. Yeah, I mean,
it was outstanding. You were saying last year as well, like we knew he had pace last year in the Albert Bartlett. Obviously, he comes from behind to win the Bartlett. Is he unbeatable in the 3 mile novice chase, do you think?
Oh, he's a new banker of the week. He's a new banker of the week.
And you're already, are you the double on yet for this year's RSA in the Gold Cup next year?
No, I haven't bagged him for the Gold Cup next year, but I do think he's likely to win it.
Mm-hmm. Well, he'd certainly beat all 5 horses in the next race. Kenboy won the Irish Gold Cup, now went to 16-1. We mentioned how good Monkfish was. I don't think this was a good marker for a Gold Cup. I thought every horse in here was Melon. Melon's obviously better over shorter. What did you think of this race? Let's bring it down a nick or two.
Yeah, I know everyone's going to slag this race off, but it just turned tactical, and Kenboy was the one to benefit because he controlled from the front, flat track bully over 3 miles, and nothing was going to get past him. It looked particularly obvious when none of them are under pressure 2 out. They're all still travelling within themselves.
It's the best he's ever jumped. It's the best Ken Boy's ever jumped.
I don't think it was. I think when he beat Alban Foot at Punchestown, he was better. I thought he's getting back to that form. You know, like flat track Leopardstown just suits him, like a flat track Punchestown would, a flat track King George would as well.
Yeah.
So with Aintree, just Cheltenham, I think would have a question mark. They did Stayers Huddle for him.
I know. I found that very bizarre. I wouldn't dismiss him totally for a Stayers Huddle.
I think it'd be an interesting option. I think Willie Mullins has got 3 already obvious Ryanair contenders. I don't think he needs a 4th.
No.
I don't think he needs a 4th that also needs to be up in front of the pace as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he'd be keen to split them up to some extent.
Yeah. Manel Ando I thought was very disappointing. I was keen on Manel Ando all week and I said it on here. I thought he would recover well from his performance. Delta work as well. It was just 2 disappointing performances, do you think?
In terms of Manel Ando, I think the ground was drying out and I don't think that was ideal for him. I thought he jumped okay till 2 out, where the race developed, he just made a big mistake. He did it in the RSA. Obviously did it last time out in the Savills Chase, so he fell. He's just getting into that mould of making mistakes at really the wrong moments.
Yeah.
Maybe a lack of experience is kind of catching up on him a little bit at that level. Delta work, got no pace, stayed on a little bit. It was a bit of a schooling session. I thought he had a big market drift just before the off as well, which is normally an ominous sign. But again, if Ken Boy's going to go a crawl and he's got more pace than you from the front, how are you supposed to overcome that? You know,
exactly.
He needs a stronger gallop, and I think he might get that at Cheltenham. And the way he went out straight away to 40-1, and then he went back to his old price at 25-1.
Yeah.
A few days later suggests that some people are keeping the faith, but yeah, how many excuses do you want to give him? You know, I mean, they're kind of on the edge of a cliff with him at the moment.
And we'll move on to Monday. We'll touch on we'll ask you for your best performance over the weekend. I know what it is, but I'm just going to ask you again. Monday in Fairyhouse, we saw Rosie's Hollow win the Sol Arena Mares Novices. Then went to 15-2 for the Mares Novice Huddle at the festival. It was a good ride from Mark Walsh, but it kind of cut up the race, didn't it?
It did. It looked strong on paper, and then it didn't really materialise to my eye. She did it well, propelled her to the front of the Mares Novices market. It's not an insurmountable standard by any stretch. You wonder if Willie Mullins has got something that we haven't seen yet that could probably be good enough to take us
I might have it, but we'll touch on Royal Cahalan and Galway. Do you think they could potentially be better with a shorter trip?
Maybe, but Royal Cahalan just didn't travel as well as she did last time out. Galway posted wide, and again, it was a bit of a drift in him before the off as well. They went too fast up front. Castro Vetera and Delvino took each other on.
I was keen to get your thoughts on Castro Vetera. Are you giving up on him? And giving up on her?
As ever, no. Not fully yet. If there was a Mullins horse that was rated 160 and it was flying and looked head and shoulders above her, then there probably would, but there isn't. There isn't. I mean, you could run that race again, maybe get
a different result.
A different result, but I think the winner was certainly the right winner and slightly better than the rest at the moment. Yeah,
I quite like. There's a horse that I might tip up later on. I don't know. I've just yet to deliver. I've got 1 or 2 picks yet, but she could be the second one for the Mares Novices Huddle. That would be my third one at the Mares Novice Huddle, so it's not a race I'm doing well in. Before we move on to our preview for the Champion Bumper, I just want to get your favourite performance of the Dublin Racing Festival.
Monkfish by a mile.
I'll go for Honeysuckle. I feel quite good about the Honeysuckle one. I'm not going to lie, because that's the horse I was raving about last year to go Champion Huddle. So I'm quite glad that that's the plan now. But Kilcroot and Monkfish again were outstanding. That was our look at our recap for the week. We'll move on to a preview for a race at the festival, and we're going to touch on the Champion Bumper. It's a race that's produced some outstanding winners in the past. Champion Fevers won it, Envoy Allen, and last year we saw Fernie Hollow. We'll look at the market for this year's race. We have a new favourite in Kilcroot at 6-4, Sir Gerhard 11-4, Eileen Dover 10-1. Let's Be Clear About It, and 3 Stripe Life 16-1 and 20-1 bar. What do we think of this, Callum?
Yeah, wide open, very exciting. I think Kilcroot is obviously now the right default favourite for this. Again, depends on whether you take it. You think, has he been flattered slightly by a little pace collapse, or has he won it on the bridle with plenty more to give? Maybe a bit of both. But a race of this nature, 6-4, when we normally get 23 runners or something, and we haven't seen everyone's hand yet, although we've probably seen the majority of the Irish, is sweet tough. And obviously Sir Gerhard was kind of the favourite before this.
Massive talking horse as well, Sir Gerhard. He's been very, very impressive in his 2 starts. It's kind of went under the radar, obviously, since Kilcroot's just blitzed the field on Sunday, but Sir Gerhard's a big chance as well. It's going to be a great, if these two get there, and it could be another interesting battle, couldn't it?
Yeah, and it'll probably be tactical, and it'll be decided on the day from pace. Not normally, if it was a big, massive field, normally they'll go way too fast. And I mean that's what did it for Appreciate It last year, wasn't it? He was just too close to the pace, and something with a bit more boot. And Fernie Hollow came and took him.
I think that's why as well Appreciate It could be very good for the Supreme, because I think they'll ride him a lot differently around the track.
Yeah, I think it'll be prominent, won't it? I mean, Appreciate It, you'd be hoping for tons of rain in a classical dream scenario, wouldn't you? I mean, just nothing will get past him in that instance. Yeah, Appreciate It did get mugged. But we'd relegate. Remember,
came from behind.
She came from a mile back. Fire R also came from a mile back. I mean, a lot of them kind of tend to go a little bit too quick,
fast. Yeah.
Abacadabra was leading round the bends, and then Roy Allen's here when he won it. So, yeah, and I think Patrick Mullins will learn that lesson, and he looked to learn that lesson even the weekends where he didn't sit too near the pace. He was in a sensible position, and he won with authority, and I think he'll be looking to do that again on Kilcroot. Yeah, on the back of that performance, it is quite hard to see if they get near him.
Yeah, a couple of horses as well. Eileen Dover was impressive, but we think she's going to go for the Mayor's Bumper at Aintree.
Yeah, she seems to be going around the flat campaign. Cron G, who she beat at Market Race and won the Mayor's Bumper at Leopardstown over the weekend, so that gave that form a little bit of a boost.
Is there anything outside the 20-1 field that you think could be a contender? I've got one, but I don't think he's going to go. Jerry Colombe, I think he's about 25s. There's a lot of talk about this horse being the real deal when he goes over hurdles, but if he was to go here, it could be a good chance. Yeah,
I think Gormy Elliott kind of thought that he wouldn't do that. I think he would kind of delay and wait till next season, send him over hurdles. There's probably a couple. There's certainly probably going to be 3 or 4 that we haven't seen yet, or we could possibly pick up.
Yeah.
I think 3 Stripe Life is interesting at a price. I thought he was good in his debut. And a British contender of I Am Maximus, Nicky Henderson.
Yep.
He beat My Drogo ages ago now, it seems, at Cheltenham in a bumper. When My Drogo's kind of franked the form since. He won a Supreme trial, something like that. I think he might be the best of the British. And Nicky Henderson doesn't like the race, though. But the owner does, because he ran Claiming Taken Forgan in one of them.
Yeah.
And he was 3rd at 25-1 that season. So, and this horse is the same price. So I'll be quite interested in him.
Yeah. We'll move on to the stats. What we're looking for. We're looking for the bumper winner.
Yeah, it's 7 of the 9 winners. 7 of the last 9 winners have been trained in Ireland. So good race for the home for the visiting team anyway. All the last 3 winners have been aged 5. Kilcroot and Sir Gerhard are 6-year-olds. 6 of the last 10 winners, the SP was in double figures. So you can get a shock in it more often than not. 2 winning favourites in the last 10 years. And I think if you have doubts about Kilcroot, this is probably doubts about the depth of Kilcroot's form. I think this is probably the stat to take out of it. It's number of runners. It's 2020, 23 runners. 2019, 14. 2018, 23. 2017, 22. 2016, 23. 2015, 23. 2014, 22 runners and 2013, 23 runners. Now, the year with the less runners of 14 was the year Envoy Allen won.
Yeah. That was the most impressive performance in a champion bumper I've seen. Did he not go was he not 4 out or so? Was he not like just a mile outside and just came? His performance was outstanding.
Yeah, held off Blue Sari.
Yeah.
Time Hill was in it and Abacadabra was in it. It was a really strong race. So I think if normally it takes massive amount of entries, but if the full quota is not taken up, and it normally is every year, if it's more of an Envoy Allen scenario, then they're probably going to be more fearful of it and probably try and switch them. So if you keep an eye on Kilcroot and you want to put in multiples, just see how many keep dropping out the champion bumper one by one, and that should inspire more and more confidence by the day in him.
Yeah, I'm very confident on him. I've been confident on him since last year when our old friend Tony Mullins was very confident about Kilcroot. I'm not going to do the impression because I got a slagging for it last week, but you can't see past that. So I know we were talking yet last week about how much I think Sir Gerhard would be, but to do what he done on Saturday, the way Kilcroot done it, I can't be any more confident getting into this race. 11-1, I tipped him up at now 6-4. I'm not going to big myself up, but it was a good pick for me.
It definitely was. Definitely was. It's a stroke of genius. I can't take Envoy Allen off 2-1. I can't take him at 6-4 on the day. I'll be taking a couple each way against him. Hopefully a massive field and get some places.
Brilliant. And that was our look at the champion bumper. We'll take a look at what's coming up this week, and it's going to be a bit of a quieter week than what we had last weekend, but it's still going to be some very, very interesting clues. We have 3 races at Newbury. We're going to start off with the Denman Chase. We will hopefully see the return of last year's RSA winner, Champ. Are you worried about how it's taken so long for Champ if he's going to run?
Yeah, I think you have to assume behind the scenes there have been the odd minor issue here and there. And the reason why we haven't seen him, the plan was to go to Leopardstown at Christmas, wasn't it? It's obviously ruled out because of the COVID situation. But that could have been preempted, from last March. Really, that the chances of going to Ireland would be unlikely, and then just can't quite get a race in and don't think Kempton was suitable, etc. To me, it's odd. To me, he should be having a run before this.
Yeah,
he's a novice. He's a novice chaser, and you're trying to find out if he's a Grade 1 class for a Gold Cup horse. You need to get race course experience in him. Yeah. I know he's had all the away days and all the simulations that you like, but it doesn't replace having at least one viable race for him. He's going to get one here. He obviously has a favourites chance, doesn't he? But Manila Indo hasn't really gone and franked the form at the top level yet. Has Alaho? Maybe he has.
Not over this trip.
It's probably a low 160 form at the moment. Novice chasing haven't quite made the step up that I think a lot of people were anticipating at the start of the season.
If he goes here and wins impressively, then we have a serious Gold Cup contender. But it's just as you say, the yard haven't been in cracking form as of late, and the fact that they've taken this long, and we've seen a few horses pulling out and a few horses not running to form for the Henderson yard, that would just give me a slight worry. I love the horse. I loved him last year. I loved him as a novice huddler. Last year, I thought his jumping will need to improve to win a Gold Cup, but I thought he jumped pretty well in the RSA actually until I know he came from a mile behind, but his jumping was a lot better than it was in the Dipper. Yeah,
he just get outpaced, didn't he? And he kind of got a second wind.
Yeah.
There is obviously lots of potential there. I'm just a bit concerned that he's kind of going Santini route and that he's hard to get fit, and there's been maybe minor issues here, there and everywhere. I mean, Frank Berry, the racing manager to GP McManus, did admit that there has been some issues. Nick Ennis reports him in better form now and did admit that there has been the odd issue here and there, which is probably the case for quite a lot of his yard. He's 2 for 23 at the moment in the last 2 weeks, which is not, doesn't inspire much confidence.
I would probably prefer Clandazobo here just because I don't. Clandazobo isn't a Gold Cup horse, but I just think this will be. Clandazobo's got a bit more kind of match fitness. Is there anything kind of outside the field you think could be a chance here?
Yeah, Clandazobo won it 2 years ago, didn't he?
Yeah. I think that was at Ascot, wasn't it? I was at Ascot that race.
Yeah, I think so. So I mean, I think there is a bit of an issue with him left-handed that's maybe a doubt as well. If it's good ground, Secret Investor, 21 from Nichols team, I think would probably be my bet in it each way. If they all took their ground and if it's good ground, but in behind that, it's quite hard to kind of.
Yeah, it's going to be a very.
Nail my colours to the mast.
Yeah, it's going to be a very interesting race. But we'll move on. There's another couple of races to mention. The Game Spirit Chase, which has now got a bonkers name that I'm not even going to attempt to say. Altior is even money. What do we think here? Because I don't know. I mean, if Altior is Altior, he wins the race. But is he the same horse?
Yeah, he should win, shouldn't he? But it's not really a price that you want to dive into too much.
I would touch him at that price now. I like So Royal at maybe 5s. I think that's probably a more interesting bit of value.
Yeah, I think So Royal kind of emerges marginally the better at the weights today. I mean, get £6 off Grenadine and Altior, but it's with a soft ground. We kind of bog him down. Fanny and Desrival was the one that I kind of landed on initially. I thought he ran quite well last time out in 4th in a great race at First Flow one. I think First Flow and Political will be looking at that race and hoping for a bit of a form boost there from Fanny and Desrival. He's also 6. He's kind of the youngest kind of more upcoming horse in the field. He might take another step forward, getting away all rounds interesting. Magic Saint as well has got good track form. So he might kind of have a squeak at a price if they're both kind of targeted at the race more than say Cheltenham.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting race. We'll move on to the Betfair Huddle, where I've got a terrific record in this race. I'll Dancer, Bally Andy, Kalashnikov, backed them all. This year, we could see Metier, who's second favourite for the Supreme. Do you think he's got a good chance in this race?
The favourite's chance. He's just not quite a horse that I can warm to. Harry Fry's stable have kind of had a bit of a form dip of late. I can certainly leave him alone at the top of the market, but if he does win this, then he's certainly concrete second favourite behind Appreciate, isn't he?
I quite like a couple. I quite like Soaring Glory at 10-1 for John Joe Neal. Was very, very impressed with that horse first time. I think My Jogo beat him, didn't
he? Dussart, I think.
Dussart, yeah. Was it Dussart? Yeah, it was Dussart. Sorry, my mistake. Dussart beat him that time, and obviously he came back and run in the Supreme Trial. But he's got a good weight, and I quite like 2 for Nicky Henderson as well. Buzz and Mr. Coffee, I think they're both class horses, but again, the yard's not in great form. But if they run to form, I think they could have good chances. Is there anything outside the favourite that you like?
I think the 2 with clear potential is Kadzand of Dan Skelton and Mr. Coffee of Henderson's. Mr. Coffee's going to be lined up for this probably quite some time. Dan Skelton always has at least one 2-miler that's fully primed and ready to go. I think Kadzand's been more touted for the county hurdle than this. There's plenty though in behind that you wouldn't.
It's a very, very open race,
Lots of them. Guard Your Dreams of Nigel Twist and Davis. It's interesting. He's got a great record. I think he's won 3 of the last 6 or 7 renewals. That's the only entry for him. So he's 16-1. Have to respect him. They must think a bit of a deal. Skelton's other horse, Favois, deserves a mention as well. He's got a chance. He'll go from the front, as will Annual Invictus of Chris Gordon, who's 33-1 in places. He might be the most lively of outsiders from the front.
Yeah, it's going to be a very, very interesting race. We'll move on to 2 at Warwick. We'll start off with the Mayor's Hurdle there. Paul Saga, 1-3 favourite. This horse could have an each way chance in a Mayor's Hurdle. I think this could be a good test for him. Or her, sorry.
I think the plan is Stairs Hurdle for Paul Saga, it seems. She's got that kind of French profile of a really soft ground will help.
Yeah.
How fully shouldn't she'll be for this and travelling over I don't know. Maybe take a punt on Molly Ollie's Wishes at 6-1 rather than her at 1-2, 1-3. Just in value grounds, but she looks miles clear in ratings, isn't it? If you take that French form literally, she's going to be very hard to beat.
Yeah, definitely. Kingmaker, Novice's Chase, All Mankind 10-11. Sky Pirates entered, but he's entered for about 3 or 4 races this weekend. Do we think we're open if he's going to go? Because he's a very interesting horse to keep an eye on.
It seems to be that he's going to go here.
So we can dismiss him for the Grand Daniel?
If he gets stuffed, maybe not. Gets his market marked down. We might go for the Arkle, wouldn't he? But 152 now. If he runs his race here, probably up to maybe 154, something like that.
Yeah.
If he takes down All Mankind, he'll go way up, won't he? He'll definitely have to go Arkle.
I think he'll beat All Mankind if he goes here.
No, I like All Mankind here on this track. Warwick, stiff jumping test, sharp track. That'll suit him down to a T. It should take some catching if he's fully tuned, of course. Cheddleton is interesting as well, and Tamarack de Matan as well from in behind. They're 2 horses that could go places and do have a bit of potential as well. So it's an interesting race.
We'll move on to our latest selection of Ante Post Picks, and we have a lot to get through here. With what kind of stood out for you in your folder this week?
I don't think it was a great week, was it? Delta Work kind of drifted out a little bit, came back in, but he's still a massive price anyway. Holy Macapony likewise didn't quite bounce back to what you were hoping for. There's a couple of entries. I think Midnight Shadow's a prominent entry at Warwick. Champagne Platinum has won at 3 miles again, which I think is just brainless to me, and it doesn't stay 3 miles.
Yeah, there was the one you touched on last week was Lebroy. I just want to get your thoughts on that performance.
Yeah, I think Muscle was just a bit too sharp from a track. I don't think he enjoyed it. Ran okay from the front. Happy enough to throw that out and forgive him. I think might put him spot on for the cross country maybe. Although there has been a bit more positivity around Easisland over the course of the last week or two.
I had a pretty good week, I'm not going to lie. Kilcroot and Honeysuckle. I wish I tipped up Honeysuckle for the Champion Huddle. You could get 14-1 at one point a couple of weeks ago. I just wish I'd put her in there at that price. But I've got her at 3-1 to win any day. She's now 6-4. Again, I feel as if I should just tap her up again for the Champion Huddle, but I'm not going to. But Kilcroot was obviously a standout. And are a couple of good performances in handicap. So it looks as if it's going to be a pretty good weekend for me. But we'll move on to our latest selections now. You're always the one behind me. Are you going to put up 2 this week and I've got 1?
Yeah, I'll put up 2.
Brilliant. We'll start off with your first pick.
It's a treble.
Okay.
12-1 treble. Monkfish, the old RSA. Shack and Persois Champion Chase, an album photo for the Gold Cup.
Really? Right, okay.
Now, I mean, I think Monkfish is now about £10 clear of anything else and has potential to get better. I think he's the new banker of the meeting now. Closely followed by Shack and Persois, I think. Particularly rumours about Altior. If Altior doesn't perform here, he could even go Ryanair if he looks too slow.
Or retire.
And I think he's the main rival. And the up-and-comers would have are about £10 behind him. Politolog's £6 behind him. And Shack and Persois seems to be on the upgrade, and Politolog and Altior, don't seem to be, and to be flatlining at best. So I think he's well clear. There's just nothing behind the Gold Cup that has inspired too much confidence. Maybe A Plus Tard, but I think the extra 2 furlongs of a Gold Cup trip are
a different story.
Ask a completely different question of him.
Yeah. Did you think after last year's RSA that it would be album photo would be 3-1 favourite for the Gold Cup in February?
Probably, but I just think it's the same as last year. It's the same as last year. You're looking for something that will emerge getting beat, and it's not happening. This year was around 4-1, and again, I think it's a similar case here. I think 3-1 on him is relatively generous at the moment. Your last rival standing that we don't know about is Champ. And even if he wins a Denman Chase, it's not going to be enough to get him a £10 increase to get close to Album Photo, is it? So I mean, if he disappoints, I think Album Photo would just be even shorter.
Do you think Royal Pagaille could be a danger if he goes here?
He could be. I don't think he will, though. I think he'll probably go National Hunt Chase, but probably the easier assignment for him, isn't it? Yeah, he could, but I think he needs it soft as well. And I think going from a Peter Marsh to this, is a steep learning curve. I think Album Photo just has a little bit in hand. I think he showed that last year when it didn't quite pan out from all that well, but he still won it. He's won a fast-paced Gold Cup, and he's won a solely run Gold Cup. And I think they're the three that are quite solid. So pairing them up together at 12.
Yeah, I'm with that. I'm with you on them. Yep, 3 bankers in my mind. I'll move on to my one this week, and then we'll come back to your second one. I'm going for a horse in the County Huddle, Capadano for Willie Mullins, 16-1. You can get it at. It was a very, very, very impressive one. It was maiden Huddle. I think it was at Clonmel. Similar mold to San Rack, and not as many runs. Should be pretty well handicapped, assuming it doesn't run again. But I think it could be a very, very good chance.
Yeah, potentially. I think he's going to burrow away like San Rack was. Yeah, I can certainly see the angle to that.
Yeah, I think that's the plan with this horse. He's keep him at the top of the betting, but 16-1, I think right now it's a good price. I'm going to go for Capadano for the County Huddle. We'll move on to your second pick.
It's Zanza in the Grand Annual,
right,
25-1, non-runner no bet as well. This horse has some smart Claro Foreman behind him now. He fell last time out at Cheltenham. He was going really well. He was going easier than anything else apart from Sky Pirate. He was probably going to give him a race. He looked booked for second for sure before making a mistake for absolutely. He was given Sky Pirate £11 that day. Zanza's rated 145. Sky Pirate's now rated 152. So, and he's Sky Pirate's clear favourite for the Grand Annual. Although, albeit vulnerable, probably good enough to run his race in an Arco now. So you get a borderline graded performer who you're giving lumps of weight to, and now it's the boot's in the other foot in a handicap, and he's 25-1, and Sky Pirate's 8-1. It's a big swing. There is also substance to the foreman behind, because Iblo was second to Sky Pirate in that race. Zanza's comfortably travelling better than him. He was going to beat him. Iblo is now rated 154. So he's going to get weight. He's going to get weight off him as well. I mean, obviously he needs to jump. We need to know his welfare. But even before that, he was very impressive at Newbury when he broke his chasing maiden there, and he was second to All Mankind, beating 13 lengths to give him £4 of weight really at the start of the season. That's obviously decent form.
Yeah.
Philip Hobbs' horses are coming back to form now. And off 145, he's competitively weighted. Yeah. In my opinion, for a Grand Annual, and the non-runner no bet insurance kind of covers your unknown about his welfare or something. So if all's good with him, his handicap experience as well from hurdles, that's quite good. I think he does kind of hold a good chance. He's kind of that second seat, that kind of novice profile as well. Two of the last 3 winners of this have been 7-year-olds, and he's 7. So I think he's unexposed enough, and he's off an enticing mark if that fall hasn't left a mark on him. Yeah, brilliant pick, 25-1. Can't complain with that. But it's another great selection for Ante Post Picks this week. That will do us for this week's episode. I just want to thank Calum for a bumper episode. It was probably the biggest episode yet, wasn't it? Yeah, bigger. That Dublin Racing Festival on. It has to be 5 weeks to go now. So get Dublin out of the way. It's now really is full steam ahead. Getting closer. We'll be making an announcement this week about who will be getting to join us for our preview night, and I'm really excited to announce that. Thanks very much for listening, everybody. Make sure and hit that subscribe button and follow us on social media. We'll see you soon. Cheers.